Hey everyone, my name is Benj. I'm here in Tacoma, Washington, and I'm here to compare the Fujifilm X-Pro3, which is not mine, it's my friend Tyler's, and he is going to be using my X-E4. They're very comparable cameras, and the X-E4 is almost sort of like the little brother of the X-Pro3. So we're gonna do a little comparison, see what we feel, and we're gonna swap cameras, so you know, we each get the feel for the other one. So, let's go. That's like the point of what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah. Also, I gotta get used to like having the screen. I'm used to like not having the screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess here's what we'll do. I guess we'll just shoot for a while, and then at the end we can go over the things that are different.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because I am still figuring stuff.
Yeah. All right. Here, we'll do this real quick. This is kind of cool though. I have that moment Cinebloom filter on there, so it's all just like glowy back there. You know?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's got a vibe to it.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the first things I noticed between the difference between the X-E4 and the X-Pro3 was the weight difference. So like this is definitely a little bit lighter, you know, and for walking around, kind of shooting, definitely would be a difference there. Another thing I noticed was that I looked at the screen a lot more.
Yeah.
On the X-Pro3, I don't have that option, but you know, that just kind of, I guess, would depend on what setting you're shooting in. Definitely a difference in the viewfinder as well. This one's a little bit smaller compared to the X-Pro3, so a little bit difference there. But again, for alternative to like an X100V, this is definitely a significant option because I already have the 35 and the 23mm lens. So yeah. So ergonomically, I'm using a hot shoe thumb rest here on the X-E4, which makes this camera really easy to hold, super comfortable in the hand. It doesn't have any sort of rest here to hold on to like the X-Pro3 does, but I don't find that you really necessarily need that when you have the thumb rest. I haven't really shot it without the thumb rest. I'm sure if I was to hold it without the thumb rest, it would be a little bit harder to hold, not quite as smooth, but you can get a grip for the bottom and get this thumb rest to throw on there as well. It makes it super easy to hold and convenient. Shoot it one-handed.
Cool, so I have a decent amount of experience with the X Pro line, but not as much with the X-Pro3. I would say that the ergonomics of this just feel a lot better. Having the little bump of a grip is great, as well as the little thumb rest here. I would also say the button layout and everything just feels more like a professional option. Everything's just kind of like set, feeling a little bit more in the right place, and it feels a little bit more like something that, I mean, obviously it says Pro in the name, but I will say it is just like a little bit bigger, not too big that I'm not going to take it out to go photograph it for personal stuff. But just simple things like the shutter speed dial and the ISO, and most of those just general ergonomics are better. And the other thing that's just like the main thing for like professional and event work is that you have the dual card slots. That's just kind of like a game changer. So my sort of recommendation here, although that they photograph really, really similarly, there's just things like the viewfinder and the ergonomics that are just better. And so if you are looking for one of these to be like your primary camera for paid work and you have the money to upgrade to something like this, I do think it's totally worth it. But if you're just going out to like shoot street, shoot travel stuff, all that good stuff, like I would definitely probably consider buying the X-E4 and then using the additional savings to kind of like kit out your lenses a little bit more, buy some accessories, or maybe even just buy a plane ticket to go take some photos if we can ever get out of this pandemic. And then the other thing that I forgot to add, which is, I mean, it's obvious, and I think I would get over it if I was just using it for longer, but I would totally use this, take a photo, and like Tyler, you don't have it on auto review. So I have mine to like pop the image up, so I rarely look at the screen, but since it doesn't auto review, it just takes it and disappears. I was like constantly just going like, I don't see it here, so I want to see, oh yeah. And then I would try to open the thing or like start to open it. And then at every time that I went to open it, I would just say, nah, I'll just look at it later. So it does give you that kind of like vibe of like a film camera in that way, because I was deterred from looking at the back screen, which for a personal camera, a travel camera, all that kind of stuff, like is really great. And it is definitely like a more niche photographer's like tool in that way. It blends the whole like personal camera and professional camera together. I feel like if I was shooting weddings with it, I would want to have the ability to flip, like maybe articulate the screen out, flip it around and close it. I know like the Canon EOS R that I'm filming right now can do that. So that would be nice for when personal stuff, you want it closed, you can keep it closed, but then when you're doing like pro work, to just have the ability to check something on the fly if you really, really needed it. Again, you can flip the thing down, but it's just another step that in maybe a professional workflow, I wouldn't be stoked on. But again, for a personal camera, which is what I would probably buy this for, I'd be all over it. Yeah.
Yeah, so now that I got my X-Pro3 back in my hands, I definitely notice a difference with the grip. Like this just adds quite a bit. It's easier to hold. And also having the accessibility of the dials in the back, like the spin wheel here and the dial for the focus point, the control dial, is a lot easier to access on the X-Pro3 than it was on the X-E4. So just another thing that I noticed.
And then kind of like using the X-Pro3 and then holding this again, we kind of just like switched cameras back to our own cameras when we were walking back to the cars. And it definitely, like, this just I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, when I picked this back up, this felt again like kind of like the X100. It didn't feel like a tool. It felt like something for just like general photographic enjoyment. And I think there's something to be said about the lack of ergonomics and the lack of all like the good button placement. I know that sounds weird, but like when I pick up the X-Pro3, it makes me feel like I'm being more serious. And this just reminds me much more of like a point and shoot. Although they make the same images basically, there is definitely just like a different feel to the cameras. And so for what it's worth, that's just the general vibe and feel I get out of it. Well, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions about these two cameras that we didn't already answer, leave them in the comments below because I'm a nerd and probably know the answer. Thanks to Tyler Trudeau for being in this video and lending me this camera. Give him a follow. What's your Instagram and stuff?
My handle is just Ty Trudeau. So Ty Trudeau.
We'll put that in the description and everything. But cool. Thanks, man. Bye, guys.